Hey everyone. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the I-95 killer. I don't know if you knew him or noticed or heard of him before, but his name was Gary Ray Bowles. Now, this man, he murdered gay men, and he was wanted by the FBI, and he was in search for the murder of Walter Jamil Hilton. He was also wanted for possible connection to 5 other murders. Now, this man murdered people to not only gain funds, but to just find a place to lay his head. He would steal cars, money, whatever he had to steal to make sure that he could live. Now, his crimes didn't start really at an early, until maybe his teens. But he grew up in a home where it was very abusive. It wasn't a safe situation. He was raised by an abusive stepfather where a mother did not do her job and did not protect her children from this man. She let this man beat her kids all the time and never stopped him and never tried to stop him. But she really couldn't because she was getting beat as well. Now, she was also a drug addict, and so was the stepfather. He was an alcoholic as well. And Gary said that at the age of 13, he started taking drugs to dull the pain and to, get through it, I guess. Well, finally at the age of 15, he had been beaten enough, and he said he couldn't take it anymore, and he decided to leave after the fact that the last time he got beaten, his mother decided not to help and told him that she was choosing the man over her kids. Now, Gary, when he left, like I said, he was 15 years old, and he was already on drugs, and he was looking for a way to protect himself from the elements. He needed a place to stay. He needed money for food. And so he turned to sex work, but not any sex work, gay sex work. He decided that he could manipulate men better than he could females. Now, this was supposedly just a job. He ended up dating this girl who he ended up raping and beating pretty bad, and he ended up serving 3 years for this. Now, he got out, and he got with another girl, and she got pregnant. Well, he said that she decided that she was going to abort the baby because she found out about his sex work history. And she would not date or marry or have a child with somebody that was in that type of business or that situation, or put her child in that situation. And so that ended up where he ended up beating her as well. Well, he got another 3-year sentence with that one. Now, he got out a year and a half early. He only served a year and a half because of good behavior. So that kind of started his major crime spree, I guess you would say. Now, Gary knew that when he got out, he was going to be broke, back on the streets, in the same position he was before. Now, the man that he met him in a gay bar, and he had manipulated this man, but they had come to some conclusion eventually that if he would give him a place to stay, it would be in exchange for sexual acts. Now, this man had a friend that came over, and I guess Gary at that point had been mean to him or made him mad or said something that he shouldn't have said, because it assumes that the guy that he was allowed to stay with decided that it was done, that he needed to find another place to live. And this could only be an assumption due to the fact that that man ended up dead. Now, they said that prior to him or them finding this man's body, that Gary and this man took his friend back to the train station and he got on the train to leave. Now, when he got home that night, Gary, I guess, didn't like the fact that he was going to have to leave. So he went outside, found a cinder block, and he took it in and bashed this guy's head in with the cinder block. Now, this did not kill him. So Gary strangled this man until he was dead. Now, of course, now he wasn't panicking. He wasn't nothing. He decided to take this man's car, along with whatever cash he could find, and leave. And he left his fingerprints. He didn't even try to hide the body. He didn't do nothing. He just left. Now, when a family member or a friend couldn't get a hold of this man, that's how they did a welfare check. And that's when they discovered this man's body. Now, later on, Gary moved on and to his, I would say, next victims. And he continued his sex work. And when he did, he came across another man named Walter Jamil Hilton. Now, Hilton gave him another place to live, gave him, food, gave him, and I'm guessing it was also in return for sexual acts. Now, Hilton was also murdered, and he ended up taking a lamp from the side of the couch and beating his skull in with this lamp. And then, of course, he did the same, took what he needed and left. Now, they only caught on to him because there was phone calls and phone records of this, of him being there and calling people and trying to figure all this out. Now, when they found out who was staying there, because they had also found his papers. Now, like I said, they said that they found his probation papers and his, parole papers and all that stuff in this man's house. So the FBI knew who they were searching for. So when they found him in Jacksonville, they charged him with the murder of Walter Jamil Hilton. But they also thought that he may have been in connection with 5 other homicides. Now, with his lengthy criminal history, along with everything else that was discovered, some other man that he had assumed that he had murdered was found on a golf course behind a building. So they connected him with that based on evidence as well. Now, he also... Okay, like I said, he also started confessing once he was arrested to multiple other murders. One of his victims, he said, was John Roberts, and another was Albert Morris. Later, he murdered another victim, like I said, by beating this man with the lamp and strangling him. He went on, like I said, to commit a lot more assaults and a lot more crimes. It took 25 years for this man to face justice. 25. My gosh. Now, he obviously appealed multiple times, which also pushed his sentencing back or pushed back and made delays. He did everything he could for any kind of injunction or any kind of delays. But finally, by 2002, or by 2001, all of his delays and all of his injunctions and all of his, trying to get another case trial were denied. He finally was put to death in 2002 by lethal injection. Now, this one was sad because he didn't even, not for him particularly, but for his victims. They didn't deserve to have an ending the way they did. But he also didn't deserve to have the life that he did. He deserved to have a mother that stuck up for him and that treated him the way that a mother should. and protected him at all costs. Now, I'm not excusing any of his situations or his life choices, because that is what it was, his choices. But I just think that if they're in situations like this, they need to find a way out. But, like I said, not everything's black and white. Have a good day.